Hi, I'm Mary Lindsay Wilson, and welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers. This is our, wow, May. We are flying through this month. This is our May program, and we have the amazing Raymon Grace. But I'm going to make a few announcements before we get started. There are weekly Zoom dowsings that if you're on our email list that you can participate in. There's aid and relief from fires, droughts, heat waves, and floods every Tuesday, and that's with the Tucson Dowsers. And then there is a Dows for the Planet every night, Thursday on Zoom, and that's at 7 p.m. And this is hosted by our friends from Australia, Heather Wilkes and Francis Peterson. Those are wonderful things if you like to participate in that. And your donations make this possible. So if you'd like to send a check or donate through PayPal, it's on our newsletter, and we are very grateful for that. And next month, we're actually going to be on Zoom, and we're going to meet in person with our favorite naturopath, Gwen Foster. She's in I guess I'd call it Clear Lake, kind of closer to Galveston. So for those that are local, and she has all sorts of amazing tools and technology and knowledge, but she's got something called a green laser, and she's been working with that, and she's going to share about that and all the things that they're doing. So stay tuned for that. So I am delighted to introduce the man who really needs no introduction, Raymon Grace, but I'll just tell you what his bio says. He's been promoting dowsing with lectures, classes, books, newsletters, and films for over 25 years in 150 countries. And he's managed to do it without a day of college or a degree and without a suit and tie. And he does not have any titles or letters after his name. He is blunt and down to earth, and his motto is, "There is not a substitute for freedom." So we are very grateful for Raymon, and welcome.
Thank you. And I appreciate you reading it the way I wrote it, because people give me all kinds of fancy introductions, and part of them weren't even true. So I decided I'm going to write one myself, keep it blunt and to the point.
That's
Okay,
one
so
of the things we appreciate about you.
you lead off here where you would like to start, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, well, we talked about, um, I mean, our intention here is to inspire and educate and give people tools that they can use. And there's people doing amazing things with dowsing. And some of the things that I know that you talked about is uh, actually, how to change the energy at schools and that kind of thing. I'll just let you go because I know you've got lots of great things that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And
All right. I
everybody,
would speak.
Raymond, mute yourself, please. We want to keep our recording as clean as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you folks muting yourself because, well, it would get very confusing. Okay. We've got about an hour and a half to talk. I want to make the most of it. I'm going to cover a few subjects here on what can be done with dowsing. Now, I was invited to speak for the World Dowsing Conference, when was it, 2 weeks ago, and I only had 10 minutes to talk. So I thought, well, I'll make up 20 different things that we've done with dowsing, and that'll be enough to cover 10 minutes. The problem is I run out of time before I run out of things to say. So I would like to go over part of that right now. Then we will have stories to tell, and then you can make comments and maybe take the questions from the people out there. Um,
Let me just
because the
say that if
goal here,
somebody has a question, if you will put it in the chat, and then if we have time at the end, I'll read the questions and Raymond can answer them. But again, be respectful, and as Raymond would say, don't ask questions that just don't make sense. So be direct.
okay, uh, a lot of folks think dowsing is just basically swinging a pendulum and getting a yes or no answer. Unfortunately, too many people believe that. Now, a lot of you know better. I don't really know who my audience is out there tonight, but I would like to cover some possibilities, things that we've actually done with dowsing that folks will say, well, I didn't know you could do that. Well, I didn't know we did either until after we already did it. That's the only way to learn. I get too many questions, people writing me, can I use dowsing for? And there'll be a whole long list of things. And my answer is the same to all of them. Try it and find out. That's all I say. I don't answer anything else that wrote. I just said try it and find out. So among the things I'm really proud of is we've cleaned up some water, not all, no, but some water on 6 different continents. The only one I missed was Antarctica, and it wasn't needed there apparently. Uh, so that was a goal I set about 37 years ago to clean up water on this planet. Now I didn't know how I was going to do it, and most of you are probably familiar with this story, but some of you aren't. So I'll kind of get part of the story in, but not make it too awful long. I just set a goal about 37 years ago to clean up the water on this planet because I had read that only 2% of the water was actually drinkable. And I thought, well, if somebody doesn't do something, are our kids, grandkids going to have any decent water to drink? Well, the real truth is most city water now is not fit to drink because it's got all kind of junk and chemicals in it and all that. So I set a goal to see if I could clean up some of this stuff, and we have. Just we haven't got it all yet, and I don't know if we ever will, but still working on it. But if people like you that know something about dowsing and have a desire to do something, then combined we can do a whole lot more than I can alone. So that's why I want to encourage you to do something. Now, you say, well, you don't know how. Okay, I made that easy for you. I made a film called Energized Water. It's on my website. Get a download for $28. That's the cheapest way I can put them out there to you. And then in that film, I've put an intent that if you play the film, direct it to the water, you can change the water. In the meantime, you're learning how to do it yourself without a film. So I've done my best to make everything as simple and easy as possible for those folks that really want to do something. Now, what we did, and I'm just going to be real brief on this, in Perth, Australia, which is on the other side, the bottom half of the world, there was a lake there that supplied water for Perth, Australia, 2 million people. Well, I was on a talk show there, and I was asked would I clean up the lake. Well, I didn't know if I could or not, but I thought, well, we'll give it a try. We didn't have too awful many listeners that day, but over half of them wrote thanking me for cleaning up the water. The water tasted different within almost immediately. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, but I was glad it did. So I like to tell that story because people don't think they can accomplish something like that. I didn't know if I could or not. So, but I'm always willing to try it and find out. So that's been our biggest project that we've done so far. We may be able to do a bigger one at some point, but that one we have actual evidence from the people that live there that could tell it quite a bit of difference in their water. All right, now I have gotten a few surprises as time goes on because I get asked to do a lot of things, and usually I'll give them a try. Now, let me say a little something about the rising of the energy. I talk about energy a lot, and Einstein said everything's energy, and that's all there is to it. And I believe the old boy was right. I quote him on various things. Uh, he said, energy follows thought. I quote that one quite a bit. So I want to get into that one a little bit later on. But I had been doing cleanups on houses, schools. I'll get into schools in a bit. Um, but most of the clearings I did were on like workplaces, office. Maybe you got 20 or 30 people in it, something like that. And yeah, we were doing really good with that. Well, I have a singer friend over in Europe who I clean up concerts for. Now, the way that started out was there was a concert, and I don't even remember what country it was in, of 16,000 people. And I checked them out before the concert started, and they looked like a pretty rough bunch. Well, because I measure the energy, what percent of them are possessed. And when you measure energy, you can get a whole lot of information about people, or at least you get what you need to know. Well, I told this singer, I said, I'm not sure that you should go out there on stage because you're looking at 16,000 people, and I don't get a real good reading on their energy. And she said, well, I have to go. I've already got a contract, and I've got to go here in a few minutes. And I said, well, okay, I'll do what I can for you. I said, you send me an email before you go on stage, and send me one when you get off stage. Well, I got the first one real quick. The second one, I was getting a little concerned. When I got an email from her, she said the crowd went wild. They were screaming out my name. They just loved me. I had to get pictures made. They wanted autographs. She said, I don't think I've ever been treated any better than this anywhere. That was 16,000 people on the other side of the world that I don't even know any of them, except the singer, that we changed their behavior. Well, that really got my attention. How many people can we actually change? Now, I really don't know the answer to that, but 16,000 in an audience was pretty impressive. Not only that, I've cleaned up every concert since then. They have all gone extremely well. So don't ever limit yourself because you think the numbers are too high or that you can't do it. If you don't try, you'll never know. So the worst you'll do is nothing. So at least put forth an effort on something that you think is worthwhile. And I thought this case was worthwhile because I'm good friends with the singer. So we've cleaned up. Well, I'll stay away from politics. We've cleaned up, but we have done that too.
Can I
But I
ask you,
better stay away from that one.
Raymond,
Yeah, go ahead.
how'd you go about changing that crowd of 16,000?
Okay. Obviously, I didn't know anyone there. If I remember correctly, about 80% of them were possessed. I did a mass exorcism on the whole crowd. Now, I had done that for groups before, but never for a number that big. Like I'd done it for a school, and that was about the biggest numbers I'd ever worked on, I guess. So I didn't treat them any different than I did if I was just cleaning up local bars or the local church or whatever, same thing. And by the way, you'll probably find more churches to clean up than you will bars. I mean that. It's just the way it is. Um, so it doesn't take any more effort to clean up people in groups in the thousands than it does in a few dozen. But I didn't know that until I did it. I wouldn't have thought it could have been done. But I decided, well, I'll try it. I don't have much choice, really. You either do it or you don't. So we won. And every time we've tried something like this, I think we've been able to win. And what is on my mind, I want to say something else. I don't think I've said much of this on the air before because it's pretty far out there. But same singer was telling me about her music, and she didn't think it sounded right. And I said, well, I don't really know anything about music, so I doubt if I can help you. And she said, well, my music is on 440 hertz. I said, well, I've heard of that, but I still don't really know anything. I said, what frequency would you like to put your music on? She says 432 hertz. I said, okay. You play some of your old recordings after we get off our Zoom session here and send me an email and tell me what happened. I got an email about 3 or 4 hours later. She says, my music changed. Now, these are recordings that may have been there for a few years. She said they changed. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I mean, if it had been Mozart did that, I wouldn't have thought too much about it. But me, I don't know anything about music. I say I know two tunes, one's Yankee Doodle, the other one ain't. So also, I was friends with another lady. She and her daughter had composed a song, and they played it for me on Zoom. And she said, that's not quite right. We don't really like that. Let me see what I can do. Now, I'm talking about 30 seconds time here. I said, play your song again. The music had changed. So what all can we do with it? Let me throw out something right now. I hadn't intended to say this, but it's too good an opportunity to pass up. Has it ever occurred to you folks what is causing the school shootings? I went to school a long time ago with a gun in the car, and I didn't shoot anybody. It was a common thing to go deer hunting of a morning and then go to school, leave your gun in the car. Nobody thought anything about it. Today, it's a panic if somebody does that. They shut the whole school down. Something has changed, folks, and it's not for the better. Now, I'd say everybody out there knows more about music than I do. So I'm going to make a suggestion to you. And you don't have to tell anybody about it. That way, if you don't get the result you won't look bad. But why don't you make a project? I didn't intend to do this, but it's too good an opportunity to pass up. All you folks that know anything at all about dowsing, if you don't, do it with intent. Because that's all dowsing is anyway, is the intent. And put all of rap music, rock music, God knows what all is out there. I don't even name it because I don't listen to stuff like that. Put it all on 432 hertz and see what happens. The worst you'll do is nothing, okay? So try it and see what happens. Now, why am I saying that? Because we might have done something by accident. And if we did it, it was by accident. But my friend Jeff Jones keeps up with the news a lot more than I do. And after I told him what I did, and that goes back, I believe, about 4.5 years now. I believe that was, I remember it was in early December, probably 2020. I believe that was when it was. There was not another school shooting for at least 6 months. Did we do anything? Did we have anything to do with it? I don't know. I would like to think we did, and that's why I'm putting an idea in your head here. You try the same thing and see what happens. Again, the worst you'll do is nothing. The best you'll do is save a lot of kids' lives. And no, you do not need to ask permission. Now, look, this is one thing. All you old-time doubters, don't be offended by this. But if you are, I'm not going to apologize to you. You don't need to ask permission for a damn thing. You got common sense, use it. You can quote me on that. I don't mind. I don't know who come up with that foolishness that you had to ask permission for everything you did. They've never converted me yet. There's no truth to it. You got common sense, use it. If you see a job that needs to be done, do it. You don't have to ask anybody. What this is about is empowerment. So you'll get a lot more done if you just go ahead and do what you need to do and don't even tell anybody about it, because there'll be somebody that tells you it can't be done. That's why whenever I want to do something, I don't tell anybody what I'm going to do. I just do it. Then I tell you what I did. Go ahead, Mary.
So
You want
kind
to
of on
ask
that,
something, I think.
I do kind of on that same vein. We were talking about what the energy used to be for people, and then what the energy is now, kind of what you found.
Yep. Hmm.
Uh,
All right.
so
I'll be glad to
share
talk
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Only thing is, I don't know a whole lot about it. Back in '98, there was an energy shift. Now, I may not be technically correct on some of the things I'm going to say here, but there's something called a Schumann resonance, which is a vibratory frequency in the earth, as I understand it, which is, I don't have a complete understanding on it. But the Native American people had a word for it. They called it the heartbeat of the Mother Earth. And it was, what, 7.83 hertz, I believe. Now, how would a Native American that had never been to college and didn't have any scientific information know that that was the heartbeat of the earth? It's because they were in tune with it, I guess. They were pretty intelligent people being in tune with the earth. So what happened in the ideal energy, the best we could do, we were measuring on a scale, and I can't honestly tell you what scale it is and know that I would be right. So I'm just saying it's the scale that we use to measure energy. And back in '98, the highest energy we could get was about 8,000. Well, as time went on, in the next year or so, it started raising by about, mm, let's see, 2009 or so, if I remember correctly. The energy was up to around 15 to 20,000. Well, those of us which were only a handful of us, were exchanging information on this, and we couldn't believe that the energy had increased that much because we weren't expecting it. We didn't really know too much about it. But then today, the energy, if I'm right, and you don't have to believe me, but the average energy of pretty decent people, folks like you out there that are listening, you you had enough interest to set aside an hour and a half this evening to see what you could learn about dowsing and how you use your mind. And I want to give you as much as I can on this. So that puts you way ahead of the average person. Your energy, for the most part, is going to run in the 20,000 range, 20 to 30,000, somewhere in that range. But I started a project about 5 years ago to do an energy clearing for anybody that wanted to sign up for it. And I started out, I was going to do it once a month, $25. And then I got to thinking, that's not enough. I'm going to do it for them once a week, not charge them anymore. Well, that's about when all hell broke loose and COVID came out and people were getting scared and going loco. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do it for them every morning. Not going to charge anybody any more money. I'm just going to work 30 times more. Instead of one time a month, I'm going to work 30 times a month. So that's what I'm doing. My group of people in the energy, on an average now, is so high that I hesitate to tell you about it because, in all honesty, I have trouble believing it myself. But I put 2 testimonials in my newsletter every month of how people's lives have improved just because we're cleaning up energy for them. So let me just give you a believable figure here that if your energy range is in the upper 20,000, you're doing pretty good. But if you're getting in over 100,000 and then maybe over 10,000, you're really climbing up there good. And it goes even higher than that. But since I can't prove it, I'm not going to give you a figure on it. But I'm just trying to show you how to measure energy. Now, you can use it with a dowsing chart, and I've got one right here in front of it that I'm going to hold up here for you. I hope I will. Well, you can go to my website and get one like this, but you can measure on that chart, and you can measure in by numbers of. You just ask when you douse, is it more than 1,000? Is it more than 10,000? So you can find out what increment you're measuring on, thousands, 10,000, or 100,000. Don't be surprised if you find out if you are practicing this stuff and on our energy clearings that you're going to get in excess of 100,000. Don't be surprised at all at that.
Why don't we
Go ahead,
measure
man.
our group right now? to see where we're at, and then we can measure it again at the end of the call. How about that?
Well, that's a good idea. Well, right now, this is very believable. The group is measured at around 25,000. Now, will the talk bring the energy up that much? I can't promise that. We can try it and find out. But 25,000 verifies what I was saying. That's where most pretty decent people are. That's an average. So, all right, let's see where else we were going here on this. Um, Mary, what else do you want to ask on the energy here? There wasn't a whole lot more I could tell you except this: the higher the energy goes, your own personal body energy, the more you're going to be able to accomplish. Now, with that said, you probably want to know, how do I maintain my energy? Well, I'll help you do it with an energy clearing every morning, but if you want to do it yourself, that's fine, do it. Number one, stay out of low energy places. And you're going to say, well, how do I know? Well, use your dowsing and your chart and find out. Before you go anywhere, check the energy of the group. Don't be surprised if it's near zero, depending on what kind of group it is. Check the energy of the building. If you're going in some big auditorium or a arena or something, check the energy of the building. Then let it fill up with people. Check the energy again. I'll give you pretty good odds it went down instead of up. So I check energy in all kinds of places. And people ask me a lot of times, how do you maintain a high energy? Very simple. I stay out of low energy places. To be quite blunt, I stay out of bars and churches. So,
Right.
and no apologies are made for that comment either. Why? Because I'll find more spooks in churches than I do in bars. You
So if
doubt
we,
this? Go ahead and try it yourself.
yes,
Go ahead.
so we figured out what our day is going to be like and where we need to go, and so we can check the energy before we go to each place and raise it, right?
Exactly. Uh, Look, if you doubt this, find a place you like to go, like maybe even your own home. It feels pretty good. And then compare it with the funeral home. That ought to tell you something. Okay. Um, I mean, just pick a peaceful spot out in the woods and compare it to where you go to church or the local bar or wherever. You'll find a big difference. So, how do I maintain my energy? I stay out of low energy places. I stay away from low energy people. Real simple. But if you got to go in a place like that, clean the whole bunch up before you go. Look, folks, if I could clean up 16,000 drunk and rowdy Russians, sure to God you can clean up one party or a gathering in your home or something. Okay, so just do it. Uh, okay, let's see where else we're going with this, Mary. Um, okay, that brings us up to schools. Schools are notoriously low energy places. Now, I won't say all of them because that's not true, but I will say most of them. I don't think parents of America have a clue where they're sending their little kids every day into what is called schools. They're basically jungles. And now, there are exceptions, yes. But if you doubt this, start measuring inner city schools. I'm talking about big cities. Start measuring the schools in it. Now, I get a lot of practice at this for one simple reason. People contact me and ask me if I'll clean up their kids' school. I don't think I have ever turned them down. I wish they'd learn to do it themselves, but I'll do it for them if they ask. Now, if 1,000 people writes me tomorrow want me to clean up the school, it ain't going to happen because there's not time to do that. But if I get any reasonable request, I try to be kind and help the people. You would be surprised at the number of teachers that are possessed in the schools. It's I was surprised at first. I'm not anymore. And if you find a school out in the country, very simple, like the place where I went, there was no town. The school was built in the middle of a cow pasture. Place like that, you're not going to have much wrong. But inner city schools, most of them are jungles. How do I know? It's what the parents tell me. So if you are a parent with kids in a place like that, learn to clean it up. If you don't know how, I've got a video that says change energy, change your life. I designed it to do it for you. It explains it in there. So if you can learn, learn. If you can't, well, get a video and do it, and it'll do it for you if you'll pay attention to it. Okay. Now, um, I kind of have to be careful because I become a fanatic when I talk about the jungles that kids are sent into, supposedly to educate them. No, they're sent there to brainwash them. Uh, so that's probably enough said. You either get it or you don't. And if you do, that's fine. If you don't, nothing else I said would probably make any difference. So
So people could
I
clean
would
up
like,
schools or places with your video, change the energy, change your life. They could probably run your problem package or your freedom exercise, and that
yeah,
would clean things up
that'll
quite a bit.
help. Yeah, that will help. It really will. But the one thing I did, I designed it specifically for cleaning up uh, large groups of people, and that was called Change Energy, Change Your Life. Now, why don't I do everybody a favor tonight? I have no clue. How many have got listening out there?
Have
How many
what?
people have come online? How many people have come online
We've
tonight?
got
We're talking.
68 people tonight.
Wait, I couldn't understand you.
We have 68
You had
tonight. 68.
68. Oh, okay. I thought we would have more than that. Well, we can handle 68. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know who's on there except one of my friends I know about. Um, so just to give you a demonstration of how simple this is, and hopefully help your kids or grandkids. So all you folks out there with kids or grandkids in school, I want you to focus on them and focus on the school. I'll do the work. You just provide where the energy goes. I'll produce the energy. I'll send it out. You direct it to where it goes. I'm giving you a pretty good deal here. First thing I'm going to do is of all the schools that you folks are thinking about out there for your kids and grandkids, what percent of them have somebody, teachers in them that are possessed? Every one of them, which don't really surprise me. What is the strength of the indies overall on average? They're not bad, maybe grouchy or something, but they're not evil. They're not dangerous. That's that's kind of typical. All right. How do I know that? Well, I've got a scale on which I measure that. Okay. So let's take all the entities and all the schools out there, from also from the teachers, even the bus drivers, the custodians, uh, everybody there. And let's round up all that bunch of spooks, take them to the other side, send them on where they need to go so they can't come back again. Now, the average energy in the schools up there was zero, which I knew it would be. We just raised the energy of the schools 20,000 points. It's that simple, folks. This ain't rocket science. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is take all of the negative emotions in the school: fear, anger, rage, jealousy, greed, all this kind of stuff. And we're going to turn it into love. It makes it sound like a flower child, but it works. Okay. Now, and when we did that, we raised the energy of the schools on an average of 40,000. Okay. Let's see, there's not much else to do. Let's put the schools and all the teachers and the kids on the proper frequency. I won't even get into talking about much about frequency, but it's the speed at which an element vibrates. And you want to make sure that the kids are vibrating on the proper frequency. We won't get into numbers, that would just get confusing. It's just an intent, folks. Dowsing is more intent than it is anything else. All right, and now we've got the energy into place up to about 80,000. Okay, considering that most of you fine people out there had an energy level of around upper 20,000 range, and we got to school 4 times higher than that, and that's all the energy it took to do it. So when something is that easy, there's really not any reason not to do it. So I just thought I would do that. And I would give you pretty good odds if you will ask the kids in about 2 days if school's any different. I would pretty much bet that they're going to tell you it is. I can't promise that, but it makes sense. Okay. So let's see where else we're going here with this. Now, Mary, you feel free to help change subjects here.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Raymond,
So that's if this is made. Yo, where we going?
can
Somebody's
you
hollering
check
at me.
hormones for everybody in the? Can you check hormones for everybody in the
No,
group?
no,
It,
no. We can't do that.
listen,
No,
if
no,
you have a
no, no.
question, you
We
need to
can't.
put it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I can't let anybody come in right in the middle of this because you're gonna get too confusing. Okay. So now, what else can we do with dowsing? Okay, a lot of people fly on airplanes. They're not nearly as, I don't think, as safe as they once were. I quit flying about 20 years ago. But before you fly, check the airport, check the plane, check for danger. It's real simple. So I have a couple of military people that won't fly until I clean the airport out for them, and I'm always glad to do it. And you can use your dowsing, and it's a simple matter. What is the level of danger with this flight? And hopefully you're going to get 0. But if you get, you say, well, what do I do if I find out it's dangerous? Well, you find out if there's anybody possessed on the airplane. You find out if there's anybody there that is really dangerous or something. What do you do then? You do an exorcism on them. The best way to depower an evil person is to do an exorcism. Okay, and yeah, we've got information on how to do that too, but we can't explain everything tonight. But we'll cover as much as we can, and then maybe we'll handle some questions here. All right, traveling somewhere. Most people go somewhere. Always check before you leave home, is there any danger on this trip? Also do this. Give thanks for being at the right place at the right time, because timing is everything. Every car wreck you ever saw wouldn't have happened if one driver had been 2 seconds faster or slower. So, giving thanks for being at the right place at the right time can save your life. Okay. Clear the energy of any kind of social gatherings that you might be attending. Find out if there's anybody crazy there, if there's anybody dangerous. They probably won't be, but it won't hurt to check. Also, you're going to have a meeting with someone that it's a very important meeting. It may have a great impact upon your career. Check your compatibility with these people. You're going to get along better if you have compatibility than you do if you don't have compatibility. Real simple. So all these are just simple hints that I use every day helping people out to make decisions and to improve their life.
Raymond, so a question about the
Yeah,
compatibility.
go ahead, please.
So just the example would be checking to see if you're compatible, what percentage, and then if it was low, you could just ask to increase it. Or do you need to neutralize it?
What you need to do then is find out how compatible your spirit guides are with the other person. And you take away any incompatible spirit guides. See, I learned this from an old Indian woman friend of mine up in Canada many years ago. What she told me was that if you're trying to help somebody and your spirit guides don't like their spirit guides, you're not going to be able to help them. And I'm thinking, I bet that's why husbands, wives, parents and kids, employees, and bosses don't get along. The spirit guides don't like one another. And by golly, that has proven to be pretty true. I'm not going to say it's going to solve all the problems, but I am going to say it solved a bunch of them.
So if they're not compatible,
And
you
don't
ask
bother
which,
to write. You can take away a spirit guide. I know that's going to freak some people out, so don't even write and ask about it. They either believe it or you don't. And then don't write and ask me, oh, you are interfering with another human being. And the answer is damn right, and I'm good at it. So don't even ask me questions like that. I already give you the answer. Okay. I get asked a lot of silly questions sometimes, so I try to avoid them as much as possible. All right. Let's see. Oh, yes, right here's a good one. The way this country's getting invaded now, there's a whole lot more robberies and danger, and there's more danger now probably than any time in your whole life. I can't think of a more dangerous time in my life than the present that we're living in right now. We're literally being invaded. Okay, so right here's what I have used before. Check to find out, is there anybody even considering robbing my house? I've never heard anybody else that ever thought of that question. But to me, it's a very logical question to ask. You can also, if you have, especially if you have kids. Now, look, I'm a real fanatic on protecting kids, and I make no apologies for it whatsoever. Kids, my little grandkids are the most valuable thing in the world to me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to take care of them. It doesn't matter what it is. And I would suggest everybody else develop a similar attitude. You probably won't equal mine because I've got a real blunt attitude on it. But at least their kids are very valuable, and we need to take care of them, protect them the best way we can. So check to see if there's any pedophiles in your neighborhood. And if there are, contact me and I'll take care of it for you. And that's why I don't want to tell you how I would do it on here. But I'm pretty damn good at it. Or at least I'll tell you how to do it. But I don't want to put that on the air. That freaked too many people out. Okay. Now, do you do that with dowsing? No, you find out about it with dowsing. You handle it another way. They just see, folks. Most dowsers, we don't have many teenage dowsers. Most dowsers are over 40 years old. Well, it's not the same world that you grew up in, and your kids and grandkids are growing up in a different world. So you got to kind of sharpen yourself up a little bit as to what it takes to protect them, and that's one of the things you do. You check to see if anybody has any intent to do them any harm. Check to see if there's any pedophiles in the school. Check to just the overall danger. It's just common sense, folks. Now, also, if you can check your compatibility with your family, your friends, your coworkers. Life is going to go better if you get along with people. So there may be somebody that you work with, or maybe they're your relatives or whatever, that you just don't get along with for some reason. Well, again, check for spirit guides. And if you remove the incompatible spirit guides, chances are you're going to get along. We see it happen a few times a week. See, everything that I'm telling you here tonight, I practiced. That's how I come up with this list. And it's pretty simple stuff. All right. Now, among other things you can do with dowsing is check mechanical condition of any car or equipment or whatever you're going to buy before you buy it. You're buying a used car, okay. Check to see what is the overall mechanical condition of it. You save a lot of money like that. Okay. Now, before you ever make any agreement with anyone, check their integrity. Because you've got a right to know before you spend your money if you're dealing with an honest person or not. And there will be some people out there say, "Oh, you're interfering with another human being." Yeah, yeah, we are pretty good at it too. Uh, Now, about finding missing objects, I think everybody knows this. Please do me a favor. Don't write and ask me where you left your car keys. Because I'll delete that one. I mean, I had to delete a lot of people before they ever caught on that they just couldn't write me 24 hours a day and get me to help them find something. So don't even try. Learn to do it yourself. Okay.
Can I go
Now,
back to
find a
the
lost animal.
integrity
Yeah,
question for a second?
sure.
So,
Yeah, sure.
so say maybe you forgot to check the integrity of somebody that you're doing business with. Um, it's possible to raise the, I guess you'd have to douse and ask, but in theory, it's possible to raise the energy of somebody's integrity, right?
Well, yes, I would take away any archetype. The archetype is a trait or a characteristic that affects a human behavior. I would take away any thief archetypes if they have a tendency to steal, or lacking that, take away any dishonest archetypes or deceptive archetypes. You may have to use a number of words to get it all right, but we have the ability to take non-beneficial characteristics called archetypes from other people. Now, I'm not going to say that this will work every time. There are some people that just bad to the bone and probably not going to change no matter what you do. But in most cases, we found we can make a person somewhat better by maybe not perfect, but at least improve them by taking away any dishonest archetypes, archetypes of anger, greed, and give them archetypes of truth and honesty and integrity. Now, again, somebody's going to say you're interfering with more human beings. Yeah, we are. We're getting good at it too. So let's see where else we're going here. Missing animals. So many people want me to find lost cats. Please don't write and ask me to do that. I've just, I, I have choices to make. I either help sick kids or I find lost cats. Which one do you think I'm going to do? So don't ask. But learn to do it yourself, okay? But I will tell you how to do it. Be glad to tell you that. Get your dowsing chart out and put your house right in the middle of it, in that little circle in the dot, and ask which direction is the dog, cat, raccoon, possum, or whatever, which direction is it in from my house? And the pendulum will go and swing in that direction. The next question is ask how far is it? Tenth of a mile, quarter of a mile, mile, whatever. I have been able to pinpoint animals right to the house that they were in just by that simple method. But I don't want to do it every day, so don't don't ask me to do it. Just do it yourself. I just showed you how.
That's great.
So let's see what else we've got here. Now, people ask about finding missing people. The first question to ask about finding missing people is, do they want to be found? They might not. And if you don't, it's going to be if they don't want to be found, it's going to be harder to find them. I have, on some occasions, helped police find criminals. Not a lot of times, but enough to where I learned that we could actually do it. And let me explain how to do that, folks. We had a case of the local sheriff come to me and asked if I would help find a couple of people that they were after because they had killed two people. So you need a landmark to start with. Well, by landmark, what I did, I just took the county courthouse and put that in the center of the chart. That represented a landmark. Okay, so then I said, which direction are they in? And it swung to the 100% number. That is east. The top of your chart is north, the bottom is south, to the right is east, to the left is west. Real simple. And I said, how far away are they? More than 100 miles? Yeah. How many hundred? 400 miles. I told the sheriff they're in Virginia Beach. They got them 2 days later in Virginia Beach.
That's amazing.
Okay. Just somebody's sending, yeah. Somebody says confirm a speaking language. It sounds like you might have switched to a different language. Please update it so we provide a better quality transcription in Spanish. I have no idea what this means.
I wouldn't worry about it. You're in English. I'm hearing you in English. I'm speaking English.
Okay.
I didn't get a message on my
Okay.
side. That could just
Well,
be something on your computer.
I got a hillbilly accent, so I couldn't expect someone in a foreign country to understand me that well. Okay. If it's any comfort to you, whoever wrote that, I probably couldn't understand you either. Okay. Now, I hope I've given sufficient information to find lost animals. All right. Now, I've got another thing on here says dowsing to get people to treat you better. Well, you can take away their anger, or at least lower it, and increase compatibility. That's 2 things right there. And okay, another thing, I realized that my throat got stopped up a little bit here. But that's understandable why you might not have understood me, and I'll try to do better. I use dowsing to determine when to plant a garden. And then another thing people really are interested in, practically everybody is prosperity. So I use dowsing for prosperity. And another one of the
You give some
simplest ways to do
examples?
that. Yeah. If you are running a business, you use it to make decisions with. It's really pretty simple. You can use dowsing to increase your visibility. See, if you have a product for sale, there's 2 things required or needed to make any money. First of all, people have to know you have it. That's called visibility. They have to want it bad enough to pay for it. That's called appeal. So whatever you're selling, raise the visibility, raise the appeal. Now you have to do it more than once. But look, let's just stop and look at this logically. I have reached 150 countries around this planet without a day of college and without a suit and tie. How did I do it? I did most of it with dowsing. So I would have to say that dowsing has greatly enhanced my life. And this is why that I do my best to get this across to other people. I'm trying to tell people what nobody else is going to tell them. And very bluntly at that, because if we could get enough, and this is a big if, but if we get enough good, logical thinking, common sense people, just to follow some of these simple directions, you can change the world around you.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people have problems. How do I know? Because they call me to solve them for them. Well, if we can train people how to solve their own problems, then that's the best thing to do. There's not enough of me to go around. So what I do, I make talks to you. You invited me to talk. I accepted. Appreciate the invitation. And I think we need to tell people real simple stuff. It's not real complicated on how to improve their lives. And that's really what I've been doing here. Now, right now, we have we used up our time already?
No, we're good. We've got 30 more minutes. I'm going to go back to prosperity for a second. I thought that was so good. So I guess if people have
go ahead.
something that they are selling or they're offering a service, people need to know that. So that's, you want to increase your visibility, and you want people to want what they have. So you want to raise the appeal. Is that correct?
Exactly. Um, see, I don't spend any money on advertising, none, and the world beats a path to my door.
So I guess you could
So
raise the
all I've done
attraction.
is told you folks tonight this is what has worked for me. I mean, I sell books, videos, literally around the world, but I do not do any advertising. I simply have one simple website. That's all. I don't have a publicity agent. I just do it all. It's a simple little, very simple in-house operation. But how did I do it? I used it with mind development, which a lot of that I learned from Jose Silva. I got to give him credit for part of this. And I used dowsing. Once I learned to douse, I remember thinking when I first went to my first dowsing meeting, I think, these are nice people, but they don't realize what they've got. They're wandering around out there with the forky stick finding water. And look at all the hundreds of things that you could do. But 30 years ago, nobody seemed to be talking about it. That's when I went to my first dowsing meeting, was 30 years ago. And I thought, well, these are nice people, but they're not using their potential. So I started figuring out what all can we do with this stuff anyway. I still haven't got it all by any means, but I'm sharing what I've learned. Okay, I'm looking here.
Since we're talking about prosperity for a second, what
Yeah.
can we do to, I don't, I'm not sure if this is the right question, but clean up the banking and the financial system? Do we need
I
to
don't
go?
even worry about that.
No?
No, I don't worry about stuff like that. I'm concerned about selling merchandise and doing work for people, and I never send anybody a bill. I have never sent anybody a bill. I say, you pay me what you think it's worth. That way nobody can ever say I cheated them. See, I've got my own code of ethics that other people don't seem to understand very well. They say, how much will you charge to work on me? I won't charge anything. You pay me what you think it's worth. That's a fair way to treat people.
Yeah.
So I realize that my methods are not commonly accepted. I'm very well aware of that. But the fact is, I still reach people in 150 countries around this planet. Something worked.
Indeed.
All right. Now, I got a story here. Now, folks, there's more crime in this country now probably than there's ever been, and it ain't getting any better. So I'm going to tell you a story, and this goes back probably 10 years. And let me see if I can kind of water this down a little bit. This goes back to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, maybe 10, maybe 15 years ago. Not sure when. There had been I won't really describe who, but a motorcycle gang that had come in and kind of trashed up the town really badly. And they were coming back and going to take the town apart. Well, I got a call from down there. Very few of them showed up, and there was no violence. What did we do? We depossessed them all. Did I know them? No. I simply did a mass exorcism on the entire gang. Now, there's a hell of a lot more gangs now than there were 15 years ago. So for you people that live in a city where you're subject to maybe violence from some gangs or whatever, use what I'm telling you here and do something about it. Create a safe place for you and your family to live. See, my goal is helping families, and especially kids, from having to live in fear. Now, back here in the mountains where I live, we're all hillbillies, and we don't have to put up with stuff like that. Nobody messes with hillbillies too much because they all carry guns. So we don't have too much to worry about that. The city people got a problem with it, okay? So I just thought I'd say it's possible to clean up a whole mass of people. You say, well, what do you need? The biggest thing you need to believe is the belief in yourself that you can do it. All right. Now, I always talk about and what can be done with dowsing. And it's also what can be done with the power of the mind, because the power of the mind and dowsing is pretty much one and the same thing. So my friend Jeff Jones, that I talk about a lot, he's well known. He comes to most of my classes, and I always ask him to speak for at least an hour, and then the people ask him questions for another 30 minutes, because he is my #1 winner in prosperity. It is amazing what that man has done, mostly because he didn't know he couldn't. But he hasn't had a meal since January of '97, because he said he saw me energizing water, and he said, well, if you can put energy in water, I can put vitamins and minerals in it. So he's done that now for what, 27 years, and he got fat on it. He's not a slim person at all. So I always talk about him. I tell the stories about that, because that he is the prime example of what can be done if you use your mind. So I haven't really done that because I like to eat and didn't really see a reason to quit. But I'll tell you what I did, and I actually made a film on this, but maybe not everybody's seen it or heard about it. But I had a crippled left knee, and I had hobbled around for 32 years, because when my dad died, he had a bad knee, and it looked like it came to me, and I went to see my old friend Chief Two Trees, old Indian man, and he said, yeah, same thing happened to him. When his dad died, he got his problems. Well, I got to thinking about that. Now, you got to remember, I had hobbled around for limp some, not all the time, but sometimes it was getting worse, 32 years. So if you may have seen the film, it's after I go to a Raymon Grace YouTube channel, and it's on there. I'll explain it in detail. But what I did, I went back in time to moment of conception and removed all the information from all of my DNA that contained information that would contribute to a crippled left knee. And then I stayed at that point in time before, at moment of conception, and put in all of the information needed in all strands of my DNA for a perfectly healthy functioning left knee. Well, I'm cutting the story real short here because you can get it off the video if you want. But I did that 4.5 years ago, and I'm still walking now without limping, taking long strides like I did 35 years ago. So that is one of the things you can do with a focused mind. And you can probably do a lot of things that I haven't thought of yet. So if you think of something, don't write and ask me if you can do it, because I'm going to give you the answer right now. Try it and find out. That's what I did. Okay.
I love that. That's a powerful tool to go back in time and remove, I guess, the detrimental information connected to fill in the blank, and then insert the information that would be beneficial, right?
Well, yeah, it's been beneficial to me. Now, there's another fella I haven't talked about in a long time. His name is Benny Pigg. He's in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Benny and I are longtime friends. We just don't see him much anymore. But Benny is a carpenter, but he wasn't a very careful carpenter. And one day, with a table saw, he cut the first joint of his finger off. Well, he didn't get too excited about it. He energized some water, poured it on his finger, and wrapped a cleaning rag around it, went on back to work. I'm talking about with the entire first joint of the finger missing, went on back to work. 10 days later, I saw him. He had grown a new nail, but the finger was still a joint shorter than it was before. But in time, it grew out to the original length.
Wow.
But he had totally replaced the nail within 10 days. And people ask him, well, Benny, how'd you do that? He's, well, he used to catch lizards as a kid. And said sometimes you get a hold of a lizard and he'd pull his tail off and he said he'd grow another one. He said, I'm smarter than a lizard, so I figured I'd grow a finger.
I love it. The kind of on health, one of the things that you were going to talk about too was eliminating allergies.
Oh, yeah. Listen very carefully, folks. I'll give it to you. Right here's the terminology I use. I desensitize the mucous membranes of my body to all allergens and irritants. That's it. I'll repeat it. I desensitize the mucous membranes of my body to all allergens and irritants. Now, that's how I cured hay fever. It took me 3 days to do it, and I repeated that statement every hour on the hour for 3 days. See, right, what I find about people, so many of them are lazy. You tell them how to do something, and they'll do it once or twice. And then you say a week later, well, my nose is still running. I'm still sneezing. Well, how many times did you do that? Well, I did it twice. Well, that wasn't enough. If you want to get well, you got to put some energy into it and some effort and some strong intent. And intent goes a long ways. I was determined to get rid of hay fever. And still yet, every year, sometimes around this time of year when the pollen is heavy, I have to do the same thing again. And by the time I do it, maybe 3 or 4 times, it goes away again. So if
I guess we could use something similar to that to with all the things they're putting in our food, like the glyphosate and all that chemical stuff. Do we desensitize that or do we neutralize that?
well, what I do, I neutralize the negative effect of any harmful substances upon my body. See, I don't know any big words. Watermelon's the biggest word I know. So I don't really know what all stuff they put in food, most of the junk, but I grow most of my own food. I got big gardens and I don't eat out unless it's I'm traveling, and I don't travel much anymore. So I get to eat things that I grew myself. But a lot of people don't have that option. They might live in a high-rise apartment. They don't have a garden. So, they just have to do the best they can. But I really believe that we can energize most any kind of food and make it beneficial for us. You can call it a prayer. You can call it an affirmation. Call it whatever you like. But what I'll do is something real simple. I give thanks that the vibration of this food be raised to the highest appropriate level for my body. Give thanks for the vibration of the food to be raised to the highest appropriate level for your body. That's all I do. If you want to say a prayer at it and invite Jesus in, well, go right ahead. Not anything wrong with that if you want to do it. But I keep everything real simple. And I've helped literally hundreds of people get over food allergies with just simple methods like that. But you know what is the biggest factor in getting over food allergies and improving your health? The biggest factor is something called faith, believing you can do it. And the biggest reason that I have been able to clean up water on 6 continents, not all of it again, but some, is because I didn't know I couldn't. I didn't look for reasons why I couldn't do something. I looked for reasons why I could. And like Henry Ford said, and I quote him a lot, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
We want to do some questions, or did you have some other things you want to cover?
I could talk for a long time. Let's give the people a chance to ask some questions.
Okay, there's a few questions in the chat. And if somebody has
Okay.
a question, they're welcome to write it. So let me just look here. We talked about schools, raising the energy.
All right, let me interrupt you just a minute. Somebody wrote in there and says, can we do a mass depossession? But that's all I got to read. I couldn't read the rest of it. Well, I thought I answered that question quite a while ago when I talked about cleaning up a pop concert with 16,000 people. I would call that a mass depossession.
I would agree. Let's see, there's a question. Can you talk about raising the faith, the belief that dowsing works for those people using it? They said that their experiences, most people lack belief in their own abilities.
Well, I heard what you said, but I don't quite understand the question.
Uh, so before someone dowses, do you recommend if they're really relatively new to dowsing and unsure of themselves that they can raise their faith and their belief in their dowsing?
Well, all the thing I could say there is some can, some can't. Human equality does not exist, never did. That's the most politically incorrect statement that anyone can make, so I always try to make it several times in a class. I want to see if I can get people to soak in. I won't get into that right now, but that's a statement I make quite a few times. And people make those statements that we're all one, ain't thought the matter out very well. So can a person raise their own belief system? Yeah, but you do it by success. Success builds confidence, and confidence builds more success. Okay. Um, that's the best way I know to do it is when people ask me, can they do something, we'll try it and find out. If you try it and win, you're building your confidence. If you try it and you don't win, you think, well, okay, I got to do something different. I haven't always won everything I tried to do, not at all. But I learned a better way to do it. So people seem to think that I have always been to get right answers or whatever, but that's not true. I've got my fair share of wrong answers on things. But don't get discouraged. I didn't. I just kept trying. Look, folks, for some of you out there that have trouble dowsing, listen carefully. It took me 3 years to get a pendulum to move any more than a quarter of an inch. I was just too hard-headed to quit.
I like that. The question about the mass depossession was, can we do a massive depossession of the illegal immigrants coming into the U.S.?
Well, I'm
That
going to give you
that
the
was
same answer I give everybody else. Try it and find out. But it's
yeah.
a noble thought, and I'm on your side. But instead of sitting there asking me questions, try it and find out. That's the only way I ever learned.
Okay, excellent. Someone has a health question. I'm using the method Raymond used to heal his need to heal my receding gums, turning back time to my conception. Is there anything else Raymond would recommend to help my gums grow back?
I have one suggestion, and that is thank them every day and imagine them going back. See, imagination is a wonderful tool. So it's based on energy follows thought. You can create an imagination of what you want your body to do. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to work every time. It didn't work every time for me, but it's worked most of the time. And building that new knee was about the best trick I've ever been able to do. So the only way you're ever going to know is try it and find out. But if you believe you can, you're a whole lot better off than believing you can't.
That's excellent. And then there's a reminder that you teach to give thanks to the spirit of prosperity and abundance in our lives every day.
There's a number of things I give thanks for. I give thanks for a strong, healthy body. I'm older than dirt, and I'm still running a farm and driving a tractor and running chainsaws and herding cattle. Why? Because I believe I can. I don't like the alternative. That's usually the answer I give when somebody says, why are you doing it this way? And the answer is because I don't like the alternative. So I personally think that aging is a state of mind, and you're probably as old as you believe you are. So I decided, well, I'm just going to keep on going, and it's worked so far.
Excellent. It's just a good reminder. There was a question, let me see about this. Somebody had a court case. Let's see. Okay, I'm not sure where I saw it, but I guess with a court case, you would want to, what would the best thing to do? Something, if somebody's, will this work in a courtroom with a years-long punitive lawsuit? So,
That's not enough information for me to give an answer, and I don't want to get into it because that's just not the kind of question I want to ask on a thing like this. Because there's too many details there, and by the time I ask the person to type in what at all we're going to be all they want to know, we're going to be running out of time. So that's not a good question to try to take under these conditions. I'm not
sure.
being rude. I'm trying to be fair to everybody else out here. We don't want to tie up all of our time on one long question that I might not even know the answer to anyway. But I can say this: always depossess the opposing lawyer and probably the judge and any witnesses against you. That would be the first thing I would do. And have we changed court cases? Yes, we have. Probably won't make it public on how we did it, but the answer is yes. It can be done.
Well, that's encouraging, and that's a good that's a good start. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got a rather colorful story, but I don't think this is a place to tell
it. Maybe after we turn the recording off, maybe we tell it.
Well, it takes a while to tell it, though. It's too long a story.
Okay. You're going to have to show up to one of Raymond's classes in person for that story.
Well, I tell that story in class.
Yeah.
I do. I will when I think about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Someone commented that you fixed something in the whole class in one of your last classes about hormones and thyroid and minerals and hydration and microwave and 5G and modern stress. It said something about that you fixed that in your last class.
Okay. Well, as far as hormones, it's a pretty simple matter. You just balance the hormones. And I always give thanks for whatever I do. So I've had a lot of experience balancing hormones, and I don't see any reason why the rest of you folks couldn't do it either. 5G and all these negative stuff, all that is in my what I call my problem package. I've got about I think at one time I had as many as 16 items in there. Well, instead of going through all this every morning, I just have to take a shortcut. And I neutralize the negative effect of all 16 items in the problem package, even though I don't remember quite what all of them are. I might quote about 7 or 8 of them. But I've started adding more in as I would think of them. And I neutralize the negative effect of this upon all the people that are on the clearing list. That's the first thing I do every morning. And then there's a bunch of other things I do. Clear out any entities that happen to be in anybody's house. I do my best to give everybody clean water. And boy, we've had a challenging case at that. We had a case up in Pennsylvania one of my friends had water that tasted terrible. Matter of fact, we even did a newsletter on this about 2 years ago. It was I won't get into all the details, but the water was terrible. Had been for years. I got an email from him today thanking me that the water had been clear now for quite a while. It would clear up for a while and then it would go bad again. Clear up for a while and go bad again. I got the email this morning. It's been clear for quite some time now. And what I really had to do that I hadn't thought of before, I had to neutralize the negative effect of any spiritual effects upon the water. Because what had happened, this property was where the worst mine disaster in Pennsylvania history had occurred, and I believe it was 239 miners had died there. I believe it was 1907, if I'm hope I've got the dates right. And that seemed to have affected the water because the water had been terrible there, and we got it now to where it tastes sweet, it tastes good. That's been one of our most challenging things to do yet was to clean up that water.
Wow, that's great. That's a good reminder because water has memory, right? And it carries the history and the memory of whatever's been
Yeah,
going on.
I had to neutralize the negative effect of any spiritual effects upon the water. And I had never used that terminology before because I never
Spiritual
needed it.
effects. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Neutralize the spiritual effects along
Yeah.
of the water
Change
or
it right. Yeah. You may never need to do that. But on this one case, that was what it took to get it clean. It took us a long time to figure that one out.
but we kept trying. There you go. The um there's a question about entities. Are if it says if a person is possessed, how many entities in general reside in the body, or how do you clear entities? Entities are a little bit different than a depossession. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, same thing.
Okay.
Depossession is taking entities out of a human body or out
Okay.
of a home or wherever. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
How many? Anywhere from one to, I found somebody this last week. I don't remember who it was now, but they had, seemed to me like it was over 30. They were a wreck. I mean, a real wreck. 20 some entities for really mean people is not unreasonable. And I won't get into it now, but I've got a scale that I can measure to find out if I'm dealing with a town drunk or a serial killer. It's very important information to have because that way you know what you're dealing with. And you can do so much good with this, what I call exorcism, because whenever you take entities away from people, in most cases, they will not be as mean as they were. Now, some people are just naturally bad to the bone, and I don't think there's any hope for them. But generally speaking, depossessing people will cause them to be less aggressive. You won't turn them into model citizens probably, but they will be a lot less dangerous than they were before.
Someone was asking about the list that you were talking about. Well, Raymond's problem package, he's got that's on YouTube, and I'm sure it's on
Yeah,
your website. Uh,
yeah.
the
I think I've only got about 7 on that list because I added some more after that. But you can go to my YouTube channel, and I put it on the list that I made for Ozark Research right at the end of it. But then I think I made another one after that. I've made over 80 films. I don't honestly remember the names of all of them. Uh, but I try to keep it pretty simple. And of course, use your imagination. You might have forgot something that you think is important, and put it in that list and use it. It was a shortcut to do an energy clearing because it takes a long time to do an energy clearing if you go through every detail. And I just had to take some shortcuts on it. And it's just as effective, but it takes a lot less time to do it.
Right. And you have a great video that came out recently. I think it's like the Freedom Package or something like
Yeah,
that, but
yeah, a blueprint for freedom. I
Blueprint for
actually
Freedom.
filmed that. Yeah, blueprint for freedom. I actually filmed that in 10 years ago, and filmed it in
Wow.
my backyard. And what happened? It got lost somewhere, and we happened to find it again. And my brother put it on our YouTube channel, and in 6 days we had 6,500 plays on it. So it's going pretty good now, and it's very simple, down to earth information. See, I was selling that video at first, and then I said, no, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to give it away. We'll just put it out there for free. Let anybody play it wherever they want, share it, whatever. Um, we try to do some acts of kindness for people and put out some free stuff every now and then, and that I thought that was needed. And that was it's very simple information on how to clean up schools, hospitals, jails, any place that needs cleaning up. And people that work in hospitals usually have very low energy. Why? Because they work in a negative environment. It's I mean, God, one of the worst places you can work is in a psychiatric ward because you're in a bunch of really negative energy all the time. So, can you clean up the entire psychiatric ward? Yes, we've done that too. We did that in Texas one time. I don't remember exactly where I was. I believe I was in Austin, and there was a lady there that, God, she looked like she had had a rough life. And finally, I just asked her, ma'am, where do you work? And she said, I work in a psychiatric ward. I said, I'd like to do you a favor. I depossessed the entire hospital. Her face started to glow. I actually said, ma'am, if you don't mind, would you please stand up and turn around and face the audience so they could see the difference in you? Everybody was amazed. In less than 1 minute, she went from someone that looked like was barely getting 1 foot in front of another one to vibrant and healthy looking. I've never seen a faster transformation in my life. And all I did was chase the spooks out of where she worked.
So I would just call that should be our regular energetic hygiene.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this has been wonderful, and thank you so much. Now, Raymond, if people want to sign up for your monthly program that you do a clearing on them every day for a month, I think you said it was $25. They sign up that
Yep.
on your website.
Go to RaymondGraceFoundation.org, O-R-G. April runs that for me. I don't run everything here. I've turned part of it over to her. So she runs that. She will write you back. Now, folks, it's just want to tell you how it is. You can sign up with PayPal. I will take time to do it for you every day. It's going to cost you 80 cents a day. At the same time, I'm going to do my best to put good drinking water in your house. But I won't take time to send you a receipt saying we got your money. We just don't take time to do stuff like that. So please don't write and ask me, did we get your money? If PayPal take your money, we got it, you're on the list. So please don't take up our time by asking needless questions.
Exactly. Yeah, and if people want to
Okay,
work,
let me give you an example. I'll do something for somebody and they'll say, I'm going to send you a check. A few days later, I sent you a check. A few days later, did you get the check? That's 3 emails that I didn't need.
being respectful of
And
time.
with over 37,000 emails right now, in my inbox. No, not inbox. That's the ones I've sent out. I don't need any more emails.
Keep it simple, direct, and to the point.
Yep.
Well, thank you. This has been great. I appreciate it so much, and you're getting lots of love and appreciation in the chat. I'm gonna turn our recording off, but just thank everybody for tuning in, and this will be on YouTube. And let's see. Yeah, stay tuned for next month. Thank you.
Okay, and thanks for the invitation tonight.